Hi guys, thanks so much for tuning back into a little about LV. Today I wanted to do something a little different than what I've been doing recently. I've been doing a lot of product reviews, but I kind of thought, a lot of you actually ask me how do I do my makeup, the steps that I take, and why I do certain things that maybe you don't do or you just haven't seen. A lot of people love the way that my makeup turns out, but they just don't know how I really got there. So today I wanted to film a makeup how-to. This is just how I do my makeup. Everybody does makeup differently. I've watched thousands of hours of YouTube videos. Everybody does it differently. Based off those videos, based off of how I like things to appear on my face, this is how I do it every day. And since it is fall time, I wanted to do a fall makeup routine that I normally do. I'm just going to be using some of my favorite products. I am going to mention the products, and I'm even going to link them down below in case you like any of the things that I use or you want to try them out yourself. But today's mostly going to be about how I actually do my makeup. I wanted to show you one of my favorite routines that I like to do for fall, a little bit darker, deeper look with the eyeshadow. I'm going to go into detail on how I contour my face, how I highlight, how I do my brows, how I do my entire eyeshadow routine. So I hope you all enjoy watching today's video. I hope you all learned something if that's what you're here for. So I'm just going to get all my favorite products out for this look and we're going to jump right in. Alright, so I've got y'all pulled in real close here, so that's a little scary, so I'm going to start out with one of my favorite primers. This is the Touch in Sol No Problem Primer. I like this one for fall, mostly because it's a little more hydrating. I just put a small amount there. It's a little more hydrating, where in the summer I go for more of like pore filling and matte, something that will keep my face very matte all day, considering that it's hot. I get a lot more greasy during the summertime. And that is the best one that I have for that. I love that primer. I do use it all year. So then I'm going to go in with my favorite foundation. This is Too Faced Peach Perfect Foundation. One of my favorite, more high-end foundations. Obviously, this video is not about drugstore products or anything, but I'm just going to show you how I go in with this. I use my Eco Tools Complexion Buffer Brush, as always, and I just put a little on there. And what I like to do with my foundation is just kind of buff it in all over my face. Just use a little bit on each side. And just make sure that I'm like buffing it around, doing small circles, just making sure that it really covers the face and creates a very matte, even-toned look. This foundation is not only so flawless and stays matte all day, it smells so good. It smells just like peaches. Alright, so now that we have buffed that foundation out, as you can see, my skin tone is a lot more even toned. A lot of the redness is gone. That's what I like to do with more of these full coverage foundations. You just want to start with like a clean slate. I also like to mention that I go down on my neck just a little bit more with the foundation, just to kind of cover and make sure that there's no defined lines there. That's very important. Now, after getting this all over even skin tone, I'm going to go in with a concealer. A lot of people, and I used to do this myself, would use concealer under their foundation when really I like to use it on top, and that is because I also use it as a way to highlight my face. And honestly, when you put concealer under your foundation, a lot of times it just kind of goes away. It just kind of smears into the foundation, which is not what you want. You want to be able to see where it is actually hiding any imperfections that you have and also highlighting those areas of your face. Today I'm going to go in with my favorite concealer, which is a drugstore product. It's the e.l.f. 16-Hour Camo Concealer. I'm using shade Light Peach. I use like 3 different shades of this though. You just got to find the one that goes for you at that time. And I just want to show you kind of where I go in with my concealer. So of course I go under my eyes and I just do like 3 dips here, and then I will blend that out with just a little Wish blending brush. So I'm just blending this out underneath my eyes. As you can see, that area is a lot lighter now. That's what you want. Not only do you want a full coverage concealer so that if you have any dark spots, you want to kind of hide that, and you also want to highlight. So as you can see, that is a lot more highlighted now because we want to bring more of a lightness to that area. A couple other places that I like to bring light and attention to: forehead, just a little bit down the nose, and on my chin area here. And this is just where the light would catch you naturally. And I'm just gonna blend that out with my sponge. So you probably noticed this huge pimple right here. I don't want to talk about it, but we are going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it in another video because you all are going to be shocked to know the product that did this to me. Okay, so now I like to set my face. Now that I have laid down all of the concealer, I've blended it out, I've taken care of some issues that I had. So the powder that I want to go in with today is the Peach Perfect, again, by Too Faced. I love this. It smells heavenly. I don't always use these two products together. They obviously do work beautifully together. There's already some in the cap there. Normally I would kind of pour it out, but I don't really have to. So I'm just gonna go in with another Wish sponge. I know I ain't paying more than $1 for some sponges. And I'm just going to press that powder into all of the areas that I concealed. And that is going to set that concealer all day and make sure those areas stay very matte, make sure they stay highlighted, and that concealer doesn't go away, doesn't fade into the background of your foundation. And I'm gonna especially do around the nose area. This is where I personally get the oiliest throughout the day. Setting it like this, and a lot of people bake. If you're not familiar with that, it just basically means you're putting like a lot of powder on certain parts of your face and then letting it sit there for a long time and then brushing the excess away. Well, I really don't have time to do that, so we're not doing a tutorial on that today. This is just what I normally would do, which is just press that powder into all the areas that I really want to make sure are very, very set for the entire rest of the day. Alright, so one last step that I like to do with that setting powder, I usually just like to take this is another Eco Tools, this is the multitasking powder brush, and I usually just dip this in here just a little bit, don't get too crazy with it, and I go all over my face. This is also just in case you have any excess powder from pressing it into your face, it will smooth it out, and any areas that you didn't actually set with the powder and press that in, you can now smooth that out by just using a very fluffy tip brush like this to set the rest of your face very lightly. So now that we've got our face highlighted the way that we want it, now it's time for me to go in with contour. And I don't do anything crazy, nothing like what you've probably seen on Instagram. I literally just use whatever bronzer I'm using that day to kind of carve out cheekbones for myself and give myself a little bit of definition around the forehead. Today I'm going in with Kylie bronzer. This is in shade Tequila Tan. I use a ton of Kylie products. I haven't had a lot of them on my channel because we've been doing like a lot of drugstore stuff. But honestly, when I go there with products, I go there for Kylie. This is one of my favorite bronzers. As you can tell, it's been very used before. I'm going in with a little Lisa Frank brush that I think I got in an Ipsy bag or something, but it's fun and it makes me happy. But the most important thing about it is that it's an angled brush, and this is what I always like to use with my bronzers. So we're just gonna go in, tap it off a little, and we're carving out right here from the ear down, not all the way to the mouth, of course, just right under that cheekbone. And as you can see, that's creating some definition there. And as you can see there, we're like creating this definition in the cheekbone. And now I like to go in and give myself a little definition on the forehead. I've heard a lot of people say that you kind of make a 3 on your face because you're going to go here, and then I also do a little right here. Not too crazy, don't give yourself like a huge line under your jawbone, but I do go right here on the jawline just to give myself some definition there. As you can see how that's turning out. Alright, so now that we have brought a little bit of color back into the face, I also like to define my nose. If your nose is not as big as mine, you don't really have to do this, but you know, we're all just blessed or not. I'm using this very large Real Technique. This is like an eye brush, but I use it to define my nose. I just go straight down the sides like this, just to kind of make it appear thinner from the front. Of course, we've highlighted down the middle of the nose, and now we are creating a shade on the side and right under the tip. And so my next step in bringing some life back to the face is blush. Today I'm going in with this Alamar Cosmetics that I got. This is a blush set that I got in a BoxyCharm. It has 3 different colors in there, if you can see those shades. Today I'm going in with this peachy tone. I'm using a little Wish brush. What's important about these brushes is that they are kind of a rounded tip and they're very fluffy. You don't want anything too hard or too packed. You don't want like an exact circle on your face. So I'm just going to go in a little bit here and then brush that off. And what I like to do is pack it here and then pull it back on my face just a little bit like that. Now a peach tone is not going to give you as rosy of a shade. It's not going to give you a very rosy tone. It's just going to bring some color into your face. So I already have a very, very red skin tone, so if I get too crazy with the blush, it's too much. I also put a little blush here, as you can see. I put a little here and right here, and that just kind of brings that color in all over your face. Just a tad. I actually learned that from some videos that Kylie Jenner did, just because you don't want to just have that color here on your cheek so it looks unnatural. Like, you want to bring that color in just a little bit all over your face. Obviously I did not put a lot. It makes it look a little more natural. I mean, not that we're really going for natural here because we're like coating our face in all this makeup, but you want to be like naturally beautiful. So now that we are done with the face, I'm actually going to come back later and do the highlighter. I just do that at the end of my makeup routine. We're going to jump in with my full eyeshadow tutorial. I'm going to start with priming my eyes with this Luscious Angel Eyes eyeshadow primer base. This is actually not my favorite stuff, but I'm almost out of my Mary Kay. Not loving it, and this is why. They call this nude, but it's not nude for everybody, as you can see that. For me, it's way too dark. Like, this is way too dark of a base for me. I do lighten it up, and I'll show you how I do that. For me, this is not nude. This is way too dark, and there's tons of skin tones out there as well that this nude would be way too light for. I usually like a clear base for my eyeshadow. We're gonna move in with the eyeshadow palette that I'm going in with today. This is one of my absolute favorites for fall. Really, I do looks with it all year round. This is Laura Lee Los Angeles. If you're not familiar with her, she is Laura Lee on YouTube and Laura Lee, I think, on Instagram, so definitely follow her. She gives absolutely fabulous reviews. She does great makeup tutorials. She's one of the first YouTubers that I ever started watching on YouTube, so she has taught me a lot. A lot of my makeup is influenced by her. This was her first palette that she did with her brand, and it's called Cat's Pajamas. And this is honestly one of my favorite palettes that I've ever had. I'm gonna open it up for you. First of all, it's beautiful. It's like all roses and all this print, but the reason why I love this for fall is because, first of all, it has this little like bone color here that I can lighten up and set my eyes with when I'm using something that's way too dark for me, like I did today. It has these beautiful shimmer shades here, great transition shades, and a couple shimmer shades here, and like some red and purple, and then a black, which is actually really good. I'm sure a lot of you are scared of using black eyeshadow, but I'm gonna get you out of that. There's so many fall looks that you can do with it. Like, there's browns, reds, purples. So we're gonna go in with this and create a little fall look. So first I'm gonna go in with this Morphe M504. This is a very, very fluffy, large eyeshadow blender, and I'm gonna go in with that lightest shade. This is gonna lighten up my eye area and create a really good base. I use this even when I'm wearing my clear eyeshadow primer, just to kind of set that, make sure it's not sticky at all, give it a very nice base. And I just kind of go all over in that crease in like a windshield wiper motion. Alright, so before we start the eye look, I'm actually going to go in and do my brows really quickly. I know I've done these on camera before, but I'm going to do them in this video too. I like to take one of these type of micro blade brow pencils. This one is the BH Cosmetics Studio Brow Pencil. This is in shade Blonde, but honestly, this is like the lightest shade that they carry, and it's pretty dark. So as you can see, I just laid my brows down with this spoolie, and then I'm gonna go in and just kind of carve those brows out a little bit. For me, I just like to deepen my brows a little bit, just kind of fill them in where I've overplucked them, where they just don't grow as much as they should, and basically it just gives me the illusion of a little fuller brow. Nothing that I have to spend too much time on. As you can see, it's already kind of getting the effect that I want it to. I usually smooth it back out a little bit, and that's pretty much it. And now I'm just going to go in with the other side. It's important with brow pencils also to remain very light-handed. You want to be able to control how much product is going on your brows. It's much easier to add more than it is to take off, so just keep that in mind. Alright, and so that's all that I do for the brows, and we are going to jump in with the eyes. So my next step for the eyes is going to be the transition shade. I do this with every single eyeshadow look that I do. So when you hear me referring to a transition shade, you'll know what that means. This is also another little Morphe brush, by the way. It's one of the ones that were not marked, but it's just very fluffy, and it's kind of a larger tip brush. I'm going to go in with one of the little tan shades here. This is the lighter tan shade, and this is just going to create like a base for the actual color that we're starting to do. I'm going to tap that off. What I like to do is press the pigment into the outer corner of my eye. This is where you like it to be darker. And then I continue on with the windshield wiper type motion. That's what I like to call it. Just want to go all the way in, but of course concentrating the product over on this side. I like to go up a little bit higher than my crease, just making sure it goes in that crease. We're going up a little bit higher. Bring it out a little bit on the side, just not too crazy. We're going to connect that underneath and make it look all one shade there at the end. So now that we have gotten that transition shade built up there, I am going to go in and deepen the outer corner and crease. We're going to do this with a couple different colors. I actually use a lot of the colors from this palette when I do this look. This is another Ipsy brush that I'm going in with. I think it's SL Miss Glam is the brand. It just says eyeshadow brush in N15. It's just a lot smaller, and as you can see, it's kind of a flatter on one side. And that is because we are going to go in with this matte, darker red shade here. And I'm just going to go in. These are pretty pigmented, so if you're using new palettes that you're not sure about, you know, go in kind of softly at first because you just never know. And I'm actually just going to press that here and then try to blend it out right into the crease and about a third of the way over on the lid. And I like to use a flat brush for this because, as I said, we are pressing it on here and then pulling it around. Of course, y'all know I get most of my brushes off of Wish, so I'm not judging. Y'all get them wherever you need to. It just matters how you're applying it, how it's turning out. Alright, so we are doing a fall kind of vampy look, so I'm actually going to deepen this even a little more. I know that you can already see that this is getting to be like a deeper shade here. So I'm going to take an even smaller brush. This is also an unmarked Morphe brush. This is a little like domed tip. It's not super small, but it's definitely smaller than the one that we just used. We're really trying to keep this one more controlled than we did with the other one. We're only going to keep this in a certain area of the eye. So I'm going to go in with this, and I'm going to use this actually little purple shimmery shade here. That's where my fingernail went in it. Don't mind that. We're just going to swirl around in that a little bit, tap it off, of course, and again, you are going to press way over here in the corner, and don't go as far over with this again, and pull it into that crease only about halfway. So now we're not going over as far as we were before, and we're just going to do that on the other eye as well. Alright, so now that we've gotten that even darker, I wanted to do one little last step before we start doing the actual lid area here. This is the tiniest little unmarked Morphe brush here. It looks exactly like the black one that we just used, but it's much, much smaller. This is because we want to use very, very little of this black eyeshadow that I'm about to go in with, but it actually makes a difference in person. You will see that it creates a little bit deeper shade. Also, I just want to show you that it's the lighting in here. One of my eyes are not darker than the other, I promise. So we're gonna go in with the black shade here. Don't be scared, just don't get crazy. That's what I always tell people. Don't be like going in crazy and then smearing it all over your eye, unless that's the look you're going for. You go, girl. I mean, that's up to you. Just put a little bit on that brush, tap it off, of course, and we are going to very concentrated put it right here and barely blend it out for a little extra shadow, a little extra depth. And I hope you can see that fade there where it goes from like lighter to darker to the deepest color there. That's what you're actually going for. That's the look that you're trying to achieve when you're going for this. So that's why we're keeping it very concentrated with the dark black shade right over here in the crease, because you don't want to get crazy with that. You don't want to ruin your eye look. If you get a little scared, if you're like, oh, I think that's a little too dark, or maybe the black's not blending out, depending on what palette you're using. Sometimes I'll go back in with the black, a little bit larger shadow brush. And this is just if you feel that you need to. Like I said, this is just tips and tricks for like my makeup routine. Obviously, I don't dip this in any more shadow. I'll just go back over it just to kind of blend those colors in even more. So for those of you who are a little bit newer, who are not as familiar with makeup, what I'm about to do is called a cut crease look. Basically, I'm going to carve out and make all of this brighter again, and that is because we're going to lay down some brighter colors, and you don't want it to mix with all this deepness. A lot of people use concealer for this, but I'm actually using a MAC paint pot is what it's called, in the soft ochre color. It looks like this. When you open it up, it has basically like a cream eyeshadow in it. It's kind of like a concealer, but it's not in a tube. I go in with a small shader brush like this that's very flat on one side. This is actually a Luxie brush. It is the 245 small shader. And I always go in with something like this, and I just go in just a little bit, get some of this off on my brush, and I'm going to show you how I kind of carve out that crease. And you just want to make sure your line is as straight as possible, obviously. I'm going to get a little bit more and put that on there. As you can see, this is lightening this up, which is exactly what we want. You don't want to go all the way into that dark that you did. Just about 2/3 of the way, and we're going to blend all this in. You'll see how it turns out. But for now, the most important part for you to see is the difference in the eye. I have lightened all this up. There's a defined crease there where I have done that, and that is how we will lay a lighter, more shimmery shade over the eye now without mixing it all into those darker shades that we put down. This also creates a little bit of a sticky, tacky base for a shimmer shade, which is what I normally put over this MAC paint pot. You can use concealer for this, by the way. I have done that several times, even in videos that I have filmed for my channel, and it's obviously a lot more cost effective. Alright, so this is the look that we were going for. As you can see, I have carved that out here to go back into that darker shade. There's not a defined line here. It's kind of just like jagged there because we are about to put the shimmer shades on top. Okay, so this is my favorite part. This is when everything pulls together. I have a little medicine cup full of water here. This is how I normally will wet my shadows to put them on my eye. I just think it makes them pop more. It makes them lay down flatter. Just a little trick that I do. I don't use Fix Plus or anything like that. Honestly, water works just the same. So I'm just using it on this little green brush. Honestly, the brand has come off, so we don't know what this is, but it's just a little flat brush there that I'm gonna dip into the water, and then I'm going to dip it into this bronzy orange shimmer shade. So I'm just gonna apply this not all the way, just like the middle 1/3 of the eye, and I'm covering up the cut crease all the way to the crease in my eye. I'm gonna blend that out on the side into that darkness. So now that we have that orange in the middle, and now I'm gonna take another, I don't know what this is, it was just pretty, so I bought it. This is a very like pointed, angled brush that I'm using here. I'm gonna go in and wet that and go in with that super bright gold shade there. And this is what we're gonna put on the inner part of that cut crease. You can see it go from gold to the bronze to the darker shade as I move, and I'm just gonna do the other eye. All right, so what we've done here is just give the illusion of a two-toned eye. I hope you can see that with the lights, how it's changing from the lighter to the darker. I love this gold. It's so pretty on the corner of the eye there. And now I'm just gonna go in with that black larger bristle brush as well. I'm gonna go in with the shimmery purple shade that we did just a little bit, and that is what I'm gonna use to bring this darkness around the bottom of the eye just a little bit, just so it doesn't look like it stops in the middle of nowhere. That's why I do that. As you can see, this eye looks a lot more complete. All right, so we put that shadow under the eye. We are actually done with the eyeshadow look, but another tip that I have for your eyeshadow is I like to go back in with that first really thick brush that we had, and I like to go in with the little bone shade and just clean up. I'm obviously not gonna go into my eyeshadow look. I'm putting this all around, just making sure that we're cleaning up, making sure we have no defined lines. And so that's my final step for my fall vampy look that I have going on here. Now I'm gonna jump in with my eyeliner. This is the e.l.f. Hang on. Okay, I'm back. I just decided that I am going to test out on camera this Hank and Henry BoxyCharm find that I got in my last September BoxyCharm. I actually really do like this. This is Hank and Henry, the Blickety Black, I think is the color, in the long wear liquid eyeliner. So let's try this out. So I just like to line the top of my eye just like this. Nothing too thick, nothing too crazy. You can see that already makes a difference. I'm actually gonna wing it out like I normally do. So let me show you how I do that. So as you can see there, it's really hard for me to talk and do that, so I'll explain what I did. I just go out to my desired length, right from the corner of my eye, and then I take the tip and bring it all the way back in until it connects, and then I fill in the triangle there that it makes. Obviously this is optional, you do not have to wing it out every time. If I did not do that, I would at least line just the top of my eye, because I do think it defines it so well. It just kind of pulls everything together for me. So that's the liner. As I've said before, sometimes they're twins, that's what you want. Sometimes they're just sisters, sometimes they're just cousins, but just look at them from the side like I do. They think you're trying to be like all demure, and really you're just like, one at a time. Okay, so now I'm going to give my lashes a little bit of a curl. Now on to mascara. And I am going to use my tried and true favorite mascara in the world. It's Benefit, of course. This is the Bad Gal Bang. It's still gonna blow your mind, and this is actually so dried up, like I really need a new one, but they last so long, I'm like trying to get the most out of it. Because I mean, they are expensive, let's not lie, they are, but I mean, you get what you pay for sure. Ah! Just had to redo all the makeup on my nose, but it's fine. I'm fine. I mean, look at that. This is like not even 2 coats. This is not even trying. I actually brought false lashes up here to like put on for you guys, but like sometimes I'm just like, why put forth the effort when people are already gonna ask me if these are my real lashes, because they're so freaking long. How do they do it? How do they do it? I don't know. I don't know. Okay, I actually am gonna put on some Falsies for you guys, I think, just because I can. Okay, so what I'm using today is the Lure. This is my favorite brand of false lashes. This is the lengthening multi-pack. This is what they look like. Oh, these already kind of have like a stickiness to them. I have used this particular set before. I'm just reusing them again now. So how I normally apply my eyelashes, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. It did take a lot of practice for me to get like even remotely good at it. So I always like to bend the lashes, just make sure they have like a really good curve to them. The eyelash glue that I use, this is the Duo in dark. I always like to make sure that I use the dark because I'm usually wearing like a lot of heavy eyeliner, so you're not going to be able to see it anyways. Here I just like to put a little on that band. You want to get it really sticky and tacky to actually stay on, so I like to wave it around a little bit, blow on it, whatever you got to do, just let it dry for a few seconds, and of course just like make sure that it still keeps that curve, and then you're just going to place it on that lash, on the top lash line. And don't get frustrated if it doesn't go the way that you want it to the first time. It's very easy to rip off and just readjust if you need to. Just make sure that it is really tight on the corners there. It all just comes with time. I still have mornings where I have to rip mine off like 18 times and put them back on. So don't get frustrated with it. It is something that you really have to practice at. Okay, I literally have more lash glue on my finger than I do on the actual lash, but it's fine. Alright, so once you have the lashes on, you're not like exactly done. What I like to do is press the lashes so that my lashes actually just flow right in with them. You don't want to see like a defined line where your lashes stop and the false lashes continue. So I also like to do just a little bit of mascara right on the tips so that they at least look more natural, look more like mine. And then of course I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom lower lashes that I have not done yet. And so that's the way that it should turn out. Alright, so now that the eyes are completely done, let's go in with highlighter. So excited to show you this highlighting palette. This is one of my favorite ones. This is from one of my other favorite YouTubers, that's Manny MUA. If you don't subscribe to him on YouTube or follow him on Instagram, you definitely should. He is also fantastic and hilarious. Like my stomach hurts after I'm done watching his videos, so definitely go check him out. This is his brand, actually, Lunar Beauty. This is his Greek Goddess highlight palette. This was from his Christmas collection last year, and it is honestly so beautiful. It is so gorgeous, and everything is so pigmented. Like, look at those, just like glowing in my lights in here, all different shades. Today I think I'm going to go in with Medusa. This is my favorite one. It's more of like a goldeny, like a light goldeny color. And I'm just using my favorite highlight brush from Ipsy. It's the B36 tapered highlighting brush. I'm just going to go in there. It's so fabulous. Like, I cannot tell you. I bought this for myself for Christmas last year, and I was like, thank you, me. So as you can see, basically what I do with my highlighter is I like to place it right here on the top of the cheekbones. I'm sure you've seen that in all my other videos. This is just to catch the light when the sun hits you, when the light hits you, just where it would naturally hit, right here along the top of the cheekbones. I also like to put just a little bit here, as I was doing right on the forehead, just to highlight that area. Two other places that I like to do, sometimes I do it with my finger, sometimes I do it with this brush, is go straight down the nose like this, just a little bit. Like I said, you could also do it with your finger and just go straight down like that, bring some light there, and then just a little here on the chin to catch the light, as if the light was falling on you and you're just gracefully beautiful all the time. So the last step that I like to use a highlight palette for, I like to use this really small, like this is one of my Wish brushes. It's very, very tiny, if you can see that, and it's flat. I will go in with something that's like a really bright highlight. This one here is like a white with a little bit of gold in it as well, and I swirl it around just a little bit, and we are going to highlight the inner corner. Oh my god. Woo! We're going to highlight the inner corners of our eye here. I also like to highlight right under the brow bone, just right there. Like I said, I use a very bright highlighter for this. It just does so much for the look. Alright, and before we do the lips, I'm going to go ahead and set my face. I always set my face before I do the lips. And I'm going to go in with my Urban Decay All-Nighter when I really need to know that this is going to stay for a while. I always want to use this because I know this is my tried and true. I know it's going to last all day. Alright, so last step, I'm putting on a little bit of lip gloss here first. I always do that. Not lip gloss, lip balm. Why would I put lip gloss under my... You know what I mean. I'm putting on some lip balm. I usually do that under my matte lipsticks, which is what I'm about to go in with. I haven't used this since last year. It's very, very dark, which I'm feeling the little like vampy look today, obviously. So you don't have to do this. This is the Lorac Pro Matte Lip Color. I'm not even sure what shade this is. Aubergine. As you can see, that is a super deep, dark purple toned color, and I actually liked how this turned out when I put it on last year in the fall, so I'm hoping it goes really well with this look again this year. Alright guys, so that's it. That is the final look. I hope you like it as much as I do. I love doing these deep, dark, fun colors for fall. It's so pretty. I do hope that you learned some things in the video, if that's what you were here to do, or if you were just here to watch me being the amazing person that I am. If you have any questions for me about today's video, about how I do my makeup, I am going to try to link everything down below for you. If you want to use any of these products, just comment down below. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe, of course, and I'll see you all in my next video. Thanks again so much for watching a little about LV.